name is Cody Nowak. I am the Director of Research and Development at Martin Brothers here in Southern California. Martin Brothers is based in Gardena, California, and we are the premier drywall framing company of Southern California. And today, what I'm going to present, I'll talk a little bit about Fuzor, but I'm also going to talk about some other cool stuff we've been working on with augmented mixed reality, and virtual reality, and depending on what we have time for. All right, so show of hands, in this room, how many people know what virtual reality is? Right, pretty much the entire room. Now, show of hands, how many people in this room understand what the difference between virtual reality, mixed reality, and augmented reality is? Not so many hands. I'm gonna go over it quickly here. So, what we're in right now is real reality, right? So this is the reality that we experience, we're born into, we're experiencing right now. It's that constant one-to-one human ratio, that human scale, one-to-one human scale that we understand. We don't have to scale in our head or really think about this reality. It's just the reality that we experience on a daily basis. Augmented reality is more of like a heads-up contextual information of, within our industry, the contextual information of the surrounding area, of the environment that we're in. And that would be on a device like your cell phone, a head-mounted display. Think of like RoboCop, right? Now, mixed reality is where, personally, I think things really get fun. Mixed reality is holograms. So taking reality and placing 3D model content within reality and viewing it in on your mobile device, on a head-mounted display such as the HoloLens, and we're able to walk around that, and that content is pinned within reality, and that information is interacting with the environment, the real environment. So there's a lot of opportunity for what we could do with both augmented reality and mixed reality. I'm going to not go over virtual reality because everybody knows that's the next step where your entire environment is virtual and it has nothing to do with real reality, at least the one you're in right now. Okay, so at Martin Brothers, we have a cave in our office. No, it's not some dark hole in the wall that you go in and you have a bunch of bats in, right? It's actually, CAVE stands for something. It stands for Computer Automated Virtual Environment. What's that mean? It means we have a big empty room. We've been doing this for over 3 years now, virtual reality. And within that big empty room, we're able to do room scale virtual reality. You take one step in virtual reality, you take one step in virtual reality. So that's how you're moving through the model, you're traversing in a natural way that everybody walks around. So being able to move through that model is so much easier. And now we have devices like the HTC Vive, which has been out for a year and a half, or somewhere around there, which has made the cave somewhat obsolete in a way, especially since the cave's about $250,000 compared to a Vive that's sub $1,000. Big difference there. So we haven't really been using the cave as a cave in the past year or so. At least since we partnered with Fuzor, with Calitech, and started utilizing Fuzor in a way for design validation and collaboration. What we've been able to do with Fuzor in the cave is be able to project one-to-one, near one-to-one human scale onto a 20-foot projection that's about 12 foot high on one wall, and then on the other wall we have that same 20-foot projection by 12 foot high of Revit. So we're able to have large groups. I'm looking out in this crowd actually, I see a few faces that have actually experienced this, and it's been an amazing design tool and coordination tool. So we're able to have about 20 people within that cave, and from different disciplines, and we're able to, on the fly, make decisions on design options, and on the fly make design options very quickly. And with that one-to-one human scale, projection, instead of just that very intimate VR experience that one person is experiencing and then maybe you're projecting on the wall, everybody's there, and you're using the 3D walkthrough in Fuzor to actually see those design options as they change. And what's great also is that as we make those changes are happening in our BIM authoring tool, our construction document authoring tool. Previously, for the past few years, what we had to do was take notes, which, trust me, it wasn't fun. We talk about how this could change in maybe this design option over here. We want to take out these doors and just do a straight chip wall over here, right? What we have to do is take notes, go back to the drawing board, do post-production, and actually render out. So it would take another week or two, depending on the changes. And as we all know in this room, a week or two, things change very rapidly within our industry. So it didn't really work. It was more of a cool factor. And then as soon as we got that bi-directional linking from Fuzor, that real-time rendering, real-time walkthrough, that's when we hit gold, and VR became a true value-added tool within our workflow. And with that, we were able to bring in large name architects, large name general contractors, large name owners down into Gardena, the outskirts of South Central, which typically they wouldn't come to our office. What that gets us actually is the ability to now have more say in pre-con and pre-construction than what we did before, because now our clients, our partners, they want to work with us sooner than later because we have a tool like Fuzor, and we're able to do the design validation and coordination much sooner. And that's the value-add tool for utilizing Martin Brothers on the project. So that's our setup. Is it live? How much time do I have?
As much as you want.
As much as you want. Okay. Don't say that. I'll go for hours. I'm not even joking. All right. So here's a video of the cave. It'll explain itself real quick.
Collaboration has helped Martin Brothers do some of the most important projects in the Los Angeles area. We come together to make sure that what the architect and the client are trying to put forth are done seamlessly.
Virtual reality provides the value of fostering communication and collaboration at design reviews. No longer are questions asked like, what if? Instead, end users manipulate the environment and then discuss the implications of that change.
Specifically, the architecture and construction industry, what is still being used a lot is to make physical mock-ups. In virtual reality, you can solve this so much more elegantly and cost-effectively.
Well, the most about virtual reality is the fact that you get a very good sense of presence and perspective. You can see it in much more depth than you can just by spinning a mouse on a computer. We can solve a lot of issues earlier on, and it doesn't affect the timeline of the construction nor the cost.
And being able to light up a holodeck and allowing the designers and the stakeholders and the owners to walk through it now allows somebody without a degree in engineering, without a degree in design, to be able to go from not being able to look at a printout or even a desktop render into walking through that design in one-to-one scale. You walk 1 meter in the virtual reality world, it's as if you walked 1 meter in the real world. And the engagement that happens is almost instantaneous.
The partnership between WorldBiz and Martin Brothers is essential because while WorldBiz is a leader in the technology, we need the expertise and the experience that Martin Brothers brings to the table that's specific to the design and architecture and construction industries.
So I want to point out real quick also, this was from a few years ago before we met Fuzor, before we met Henry and Lai and the great team over there at Calotech. So as soon as we started using Fuzor, this is the old way how we used to utilize the cave. I showed this so you could get an understanding of what that cave is, what that environment is, as you're going through the virtual environment in a large scale, in a one-to-one scale that many people can see. But we're not doing it that way anymore. We're now using Fuzor. So real-time rendering. I probably should skip a bunch of this stuff because I'm sure the majority in the room understands bidirectional linking and all the benefits, right? Raise your hands. No? Everyone raise your hand if you know what Fuzor does. Okay, good. That's what I thought. Come on, participate then. Or else you can sit there and I'll bore you to death. So I'm going to skip over this stuff with Fuzor because everybody understands what Fuzor is in this room. And as far as the bidirectional linking, that's the big key for us, is having that ability to make changes on the fly and communicate with the team and see those changes and discuss the changes in a room on the spot instead of having to take notes, go back, make changes, or take notes of the changes that we've discussed and then go back to our BIM authoring tool and make the changes. So it's just new workflow, right, that is disrupting the industry. It's disrupting the way that we utilize our time in communication with other trades. It's very valuable. And I would love to see more people, especially the people here in this room, go out from this and actually utilize these workflows within their projects that they're working on. Because now we have the opportunity to work between trades, sub-disciplines, sub-trades like myself. I'm a drywall framing company, and I think there's quite a few architects in the audience here. And the opportunity for us to discuss what's actually buildable and the best way to build is now streamlined, right? So, and that applies to many different trades. All right, so this is the fun stuff. Augmented reality, mixed reality. This is really where we've been catching traction lately. So with holograms, there's so many opportunities of what we're able to do. One of the lowest hanging fruits with mixed reality is the overlay, the BIM overlay of your design on the built environment. So you can do construction validation and take your as coordinated model out into the field, locate it in the correct location. It's scaled 1-to-1, and you're able to validate that construction is being built properly. This is super easy, no-brainer stuff, right? Anybody with a viewer can probably do this. You might have to move stuff a little bit with the different tools, or maybe you have a tool that actually knows exactly where to place that model. But what we can do with this is now see deviations between construction, the as-built environment, with the as-coordinated model. And hopefully what that does is if something, either there's an argument between trades, happens all the time, trust me, I'm a subcontractor, I see it happen, hear it happen, have to, it's the back and forth of I'm right, you're wrong, everybody thinks they're right and everybody else is wrong. Unfortunately, that's the way I've seen a lot of projects operate. I wish we could just say, let's sit down and be friends and figure it out, but that's not the case. Because there's money behind this also, right? Time and money. So if we're able to take a mixed reality hologram out into the field and put it on the two different trades' heads, the guys that are fighting about who's right, who's wrong, and they see the as-coordinated model, now they see exactly what has been coordinated in the right location, and that, I'm going to call out a few different trades here. So let's say that there was a plumbing run that was in a space where the mechanical contractor thinks that they should be, right? And they put on the HoloLens and then they see that the that plumbing run, that plumbing main needed to be 2 feet to the left. And in fact that mechanical duct is in the right location. So now it ends that argument right there, fair and square. You know what, you gotta rip that stuff apart, you gotta take down your main and move it over. Yeah, it's gonna cost you money, but should have got it right in the first place. So also, that's leading into another thing, is getting it right in the first place. Being able to put on a head-mounted display that shows holograms, showing your BIM model, your collaborative model that you've created in your BIM authoring tool that you've validated with Fuzor, and bringing it through to the field, and using that for construction layout. So yeah, that's right. I'm suggesting that maybe we I don't want to say that we're throwing out construction documentation altogether, but maybe we set it aside. And instead of going from 3D, 2D, 3D, that being 3D modeling, 2D documentation, and then 3D building, with the HoloLens we can go 3D, or I hate to call out devices, but it's the best one right now for this use case. We're going from the BIM model directly out into the field, so we're just pushing it through to the platform. And now you can go through the steps of construction and actually build a building based on your 3D model. So now we're going 3D, 3D. So think about the time savings. The time savings is tremendous, and that is, in my trade, that's our most expensive thing. And I know it's the most expensive aspect in majority of people that are sitting in this room as well, and their trades as well. So time savings, that's a huge savings right there in money, right? So also the opportunity to not deviate from the design. So the architects in this room should really love what I'm talking about, because that model that you guys put all your time into and modeling and everything, instead of a GC or whoever's out there, I don't want to name any trades, but they're going from the construction documentation through to building the building, and they're running over this table, checking out their drawings, then run back over here, and then, oh wait, maybe I missed something, let me go back over here. They don't really understand it. Now if they see it in 3D in a one-to-one human scale, it's something that everybody can understand because it's the environment we live in right now. You don't have to scale up, you don't have to convert 2D drawings to 3D built environment. And I'm just skimming the surface with this stuff here, guys. It's the Wild West. There's so many opportunities with augmented reality and mixed reality. You just have to, if you can think of it, it probably can be built in some form or fashion. So what I'm going to share with you next is a YouTube video that we created. We did a proof of concept. We built a bathroom pod that we typically prefab, and then we fly into hospitals. And this bathroom pod goes into exam rooms, and it's the bathroom within there. So we did the framing of that. And with that, what we did, we pushed it from Revit directly through our platform into the Microsoft HoloLens. And we actually built the bathroom pod with no construction documentation, no laser level, tape measure, chalk lines, plumb bob, none of that. It was just traditional tools for actually building and the HoloLens, holograms. We have always really been into the opportunity of augmented reality, mixed reality. What if we could actually lay out for construction? With a bathroom pod, we're able to just do framing, slim it down to 2.5-inch track and stud, that's all we really need for proof of concept. So we're able to see where that bottom track is laid, where that top track is laid, right? And do that overlay, cut to length, based on the actual 3D model of the track, and then shoot it and screw it down to the ground, right? And to the ceiling. And then go through and place the studs on that 18-inch on-center spacing and utilize the HoloLens, the hologram, for that placement. And then go through and build the rest of the bathroom pod. We wanted to prove that we're able to actually utilize the Microsoft HoloLens to do framing, right? Specifically. That's what we set out to do, and that's what we did. It is a versioning process, so we're going through iterations with our partner Scope AR, and it's something to stay tuned and see where we're going to go with it. Pretty cool stuff, right? That's the future. You're looking at it. So I guarantee you, it's not if, it's when. And when it happens, just remember this guy up here was standing there preaching to you guys saying, hey, this is going to happen. So what this means is that modeling, all that work that you're doing with Fuzor is actually transferring through to the field. All right? Do you realize we're suggesting a whole disruption, a whole new form of building buildings, of understanding content, of the design of a building and the coordination of a building, and taking that directly to the field and being able to build from all that hard work instead of trying to translate from 2D construction documentation, right? I know there's been a big disruption with construction documentation from going from paper to digital, PDFs. That's great, that's the first step. But it can get better, it can get a lot better. So just think about that, brew on that for a little while, guys, because the future is coming. All right, pretty much went over this. You can follow me on Twitter also at DisruptAEC. I dabble in other technologies as well within the AEC industry, so if you have Twitter and you follow me on Twitter, you might be able to see some pretty cool stuff that's up and coming. And actually, what time is it? Okay, so it looks like about 6 minutes over. Were there any quick questions? Anyone?
How do you deal with field of view on the model size and all that?
So this is like the biggest complaint. I put thousands of people, literally thousands of people through the HoloLens, and typically it's not typical. It is the biggest complaint is the FOV of 40 degrees, which is you have no peripheral, right? For model viewers, that's a big that's a problem. So I would say to that, you use the correct tool for the correct project, right? For the correct tool for that, virtual reality, right? Because why do you want to see a model in an environment, in a space that has nothing to do with that model? Because you're going to see through mixed reality, there is transparencies. So even if I'm in a one-to-one, I'm going to see the environment I'm in right now. If I have the HoloLens on, I'm using it as a viewer. If I take it out into the field and I use it as a tool, that field of view is no longer a hindrance because for safety reasons, I'm able to see what's going on around me. I'm able to see my environment. And then also the guys that I've been putting through the process, the versioning of the platform is they're able to align real reality, the environment, the materials they're working with, and see their hands, see the material, and align it with the 3D model that is now at arm's length. Right, so it's contextual, like in how we're using it right now, right here, right? So it's sort of one of those seeing is believing to really understand what I'm saying here, but it's not a hindrance when you're using it as a tool like that. Yeah, someday, probably 2019, we'll see a bigger field of view in that type of mixed reality device. There are other augmented reality devices out there with bigger FOVs. But keep in mind, the HoloLens right now is the first release dev kit, right? And it's pretty damn good for a dev kit, for sure. It's almost like a consumer release product. I think you can actually buy it in the Microsoft stores. Any other questions? Okay, I'll be around, so if you have questions afterwards, feel free to come up to me. Thank you.